Terrific. It looks like we have everything all set up and piping through from our Zoom to LinkedIn. So welcome all of you today to our webinar. Welcome to the panelists and all of you that are watching us on LinkedIn Live. We're going to be talking today about affiliate meets influence. So I'm Tricia Meyer. I'm the Executive Director of the Performance Marketing Association. And I have with me a group of panelists who will all be introducing themselves. But while they are introducing themselves, I would love it if those of you who are watching us on LinkedIn today, if you could go ahead and introduce yourselves and kind of what your part in the industry is, just so that we have a little bit of an idea. Are you agency? Are you on the influencer creator side? Are you with a brand? We have a little bit of an idea of who our audience is. So maybe we can tailor some of our Q&A to the people that are here with us today. So I'll just go around the room in the order that I see you all. Let's start with Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Robbins, Director of Affiliate Services over at Right Side Up, which is a growth marketing agency. I have about 20 years digital marketing experience with a focus on affiliate. And I've always been passionate about working with creators, influencers, whichever buzzword we're using today within the affiliate program.
Preston.
Hey, everybody, I'm Preston. I'm a growth and startup marketer. I work on performance, growth strategies, and pay strategy for later and maybe later. Big old social media company, not old, pretty new social media company. You might have heard of Link in Bio, later invented that, and also social scheduling. They provide automation and listening tools and a very large network of creators with self-service tools to implement campaigns for brands. Recently, they acquired Mavely, earlier this year. Mavely is an affiliate creator network that offers access to thousands of brands for millions of great creators. And we provide tools, education, and a platform that makes affiliate commerce simple. So I have the pleasure of helping build and grow all kinds of performance and paid strategies for later and Mavely, namely like agency services on the later side for brands. I also get to help our marketing team grow our brand and voice out there in the marketplace, and specifically get to help Mavely creators grow their capabilities and their sales with performance strategies.
Terrific. Laurie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I head up agency and strategic partnerships at Everflow. We are a partner marketing, tracking, and attribution platform. So work a lot with agencies and brands and creators and all types of partners to make sure that they have the tools that they need to manage, track, and pay out their partners. I just wanted to give a little plug to the Influencer Council and all the members that are here today. We're a new council. We're looking for new members, and we have some exciting new initiatives planned this year, including a new influencer agreement guide. This is going to help creators understand contract expectations and legal considerations. We're also working on creating a media kit template and guidelines for creators, as well as looking for creators to join the PMA, as that's a new audience that we want to bring into the association. And just really excited to talk today about driving growth through creator partnership. It's a big topic, I know, for the industry. 85% of marketers consider, influencer marketing effective, and about the same, stating that its ROI is, comparable or superior to other channels. So definitely a great topic and conversation to be had today.
Perfect. Thank you, Laurie. And Carla.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carla Holtze. I'm the Managing Director of Commerce at Sovrn. Sovrn is a technology platform that allows creators, publishers to monetize via affiliate. We also work with all networks and brands as well. My background is both in the ad tech and martech space. I've been in social commerce, the programmatic advertising space, and the identity space as well. So excited to join this. Sovrn recently just launched Sovrn for Creators, and so excited to talk a little bit more about that as well.
And Sovrn is sponsoring this webinar for us. So thank you so much, Carla, and to all of Sovrn, because if it weren't for sponsors, we wouldn't be able to put out so much fantastic free content from the PMA as we do like this. So for those of you who are watching, lots of people chiming in. Well, it looks like we have a lot of agencies out there, a lot of network people. If you have questions for the panel, go ahead and drop them on LinkedIn, and we'll see if we're able to get some of those worked into the content that they've kind of pre-prepared for you today. So as Laurie mentioned, the PMA does have new influencer and creator council, and that is where this came out of. And that came out of the fact that the PMA recently did a study of spend, all of affiliate marketing in the United States. And we found that 9% of ad spend is going toward social creator influencer. And obviously, that could actually be a lot more. We know that there's a lot more money that's being spent in that space that wasn't captured because it's not performance based. So we want to talk more about how do we move some of those ad dollars that are going towards social and creator over into the performance space. So let's just kind of jump right in. We are the PMA performance based. So most of the companies that are watching us today, most of the brands that you all are representing are traditionally in the performance space. Why is it so important for brands that traditionally have worked mainly in the performance-based relationships to now embrace this new influencer and creator world? Laurie?
Sure, I can start. I think that traditionally brands have relied on performance-based relationships, and a lot of them are now investing in creators, especially as they seek to search out new customers. Creators, do an excellent job of driving trust, relevance, growth, and I think while performance marketing has been hugely efficient at converting intent, creators do a great job of driving intent by just authentically engaging their audiences, and this can really help to shape purchase decisions, as well as create content for the brand that really resonates across communities and platforms. And I think that the fee structures have really evolved. So, brands can really structure the partnerships based on flat fee. They can do a hybrid. They can do performance-based models. And this really allows brands to measure ROI while accessing new audiences, gives them some fresh content, and really drive long-term brand equity. So I think that a lot of brands that have been doing a lot of performance marketing are looking to work with creators to unlock a full funnel strategy that not only captures conversions but also captures new clients at the top of the funnel.
Carla, it looked like you had something as well.
Yeah, I mean, just for some context, lots of things are happening in the space. You've got media companies who've been pivoting their strategies due to the Google algorithm changes. You've got the AI chat and companies who are now the answer engines, who are making traditional content a little bit less relevant. And then we've got social ranking. But there's one thing that's consistent, and brands still need to reach their target audience. They've often wanted to do this through storytelling. And who is some of the best people that tell stories to capture those users and drive them to convert? It's creators. They have the edge that these brands seek. They have content that's niche. They have engendered authenticity with their audience because they engage them regularly and they respond to them broadly or even via direct message or even meeting up in real life. It's kind of like this subtle retargeting that happens by that creator. And it's very effective at driving conversions. And it does. We recently launched Sovrn for Creators, which opens up affiliate access to emerging creators across platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and gives brands more access to a diverse pool of voices at scale.
One thing that someone shared with me recently, it was the founder of Ghetto Gastro is the name. And he said, community is immunity. And that really stuck with me, especially as everybody's talking about AI and the fear of like, okay, it's clickless. How does that impact affiliate? But one thing that creators have is they have like a true community that they should or most likely already are communicating outside of just the social platforms where the click now comes back into play. So I think that's another reason why a lot of people are moving towards creators, particularly, with like YouTube where it's easier to click, but also like Substacks, email lists, different ways to connect with the consumer.
So you've made the case that you all of the brands out there need to be working with these influencers and creators in some way. So how does the brand go about finding the right creator for their brand and their audience and their goals and things like that? Want to jump in, Preston?
Yeah. So a couple of tactics that I've gone with in the past. One is you don't have to look far for competitive research, and it's always a good idea to look left and right to see, where your biggest competitors are partnering. So great way to do that is just to use Meta's ad library and go kind of like snoop on what brands, who brands are working with, right? You can also look at like adjacent categories. Maybe you have a product, maybe you're in a certain specific product vertical, and your customers buy specific brands or products in other verticals alongside, and you might find that some of those creator types have something in common, right? So you can kind of look that way too. TikTok also has creative trends tools that are really great, and you can start to get the idea for the type of creator that folks in your arena are working with. I also like to you can either curate your own social media feed, or you can start up new social media accounts. These algorithms these days, they are very powerful, very suggestive, meaning, especially with like Instagram, they're starting to do a lot of more suggested creators and posts and content, and of course ads. So it doesn't take long to fire up a new ad account in any social media platform. Put in a couple search words, start to follow certain creators or social handles, and you will get a flow of the things that you are looking for in your product category. And more times than not, that is going to be just this feed of creators that might be really great in your industry and for your brand. But one of the most important things too is to find creators that align with your business goals and have payment arrangements that also align with your economics. So I think we'll talk more about that. That's kind of what the point of our chat is. But whether they're like flat fee NIL creators that you're paying for the size of their following, the value of their CPMs, celebrity name, image, likeness, or you're working with affiliate creators that have a lot of skin in the game because they're trying to share sales and revenue with you, even down to UGC creators that take a very small flat fee just to make creative. They have no followers, but they actually make creative for you to deploy on your own handles. That's an option too. So it's really about finding the right creators, but also the right comp arrangements that align with your goals.
And Steph, you manage a lot of brands. How do you do this?
Everything with Right Side Up, we start like kind of top bottom, which is like echoing what Preston says, which is we're very like KPI, primary KPI, secondary KPI, business objectives focus. So that's the first thing we look at is like, what is our objective? What part of the consumer journey is there a gap? And like, where do we need to fill it? And, as like Preston mentioned, like it could be we're doing affiliate plus UGC. I know as, sitting firmly in the affiliate manager spot, like we always have to think revenue. So if I can find both, that's a great technique. But if I'm not necessarily looking for UGC, that's a different type of affiliate that I'm going to be looking for. So once I get a clear understanding of the gap that I'm filling, I'm going to decide which platform I want to pick. So like if it's a high consideration product and I'm looking for bottom of the funnel, I'm going to probably do like a dedicated trademark plus review post. If it's more of an impulse buy, top of the funnel, I'm going to be really focused on maybe short form content, TikTok, Instagram stories, etc. And then from there, I go down to like the nitty gritty of all the demographics, like wanting to make sure that, obviously we can sell product where the creator's audience is, household income, potentially depending on the price point of the product, gender, etc.
Like that. So here's a chance to like toss out some actual, product names that you all are using for people that are watching and are like, that all sounds great. I can look at KPIs, I can look here, but what are you actually using? Like, what are you specifically using? What tools are you using? What platforms, whether it's yours or somebody else's, what specifically, where should people go to find these things?
I would say YouTube, if you're not to be like happen to really like YouTube, obviously, but YouTube, if you're a YouTube shopping merchant, has a great discovery channel. Impact's opened up their creator search. Like if we're looking for kind of more of like the free tools, Impact's discovery is really great. And then of course we have Mavely and Later. So as some
Preston,
examples.
you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, I happen to use Later and Mavely for my influencer discovery. No, actually, we actually do. So the same exact tools that we offer to brands and influencers, we actually use ourselves because it's that powerful. And the combination of Later and Mavely coming together earlier in the year just like really covers the whole spectrum of the influencer ecosystem. So we actually do use those tools, for our own social media management. In addition, again, I hear the term a lot, chronically online. Being chronically online sounds like a bad thing. I, for one, am a fan of social media. Hopefully everybody here is. That's why we're here, right? So being chronically online and chronically on social media, I think that's actually a good thing. It's what I do for a living. It's what I'm passionate about. So I think being chronically online again, and just trying to curate your algorithms towards your business and then in your strategies and your hopeful outcomes. I think you start to discover the right influencers and be able to communicate with them effectively, especially if you meet them there, right? So it's one thing to discover the right influencers, but also to actually communicate and get responses from them. The business first option is probably to go email. Not a big thing in the influencer world. It is if they have like a rep team or they're rep by a talent agency, but otherwise meet them where they're at. They're on social media. So DM them, strike up a conversation. These are relationships you're building. So, open up the communication pattern that they're used to, not necessarily your businesses.
And I love my
Carla?
tools, but also sometimes going scrappy is also great. Just kind of like, okay, where are my consumers? Like, where are my, existing followers? What questions are they asking? Where are they searching for content? And then kind of working it backwards from there.
Right. I like that.
I'll
Scrappy.
throw in there too that no one knows how to find great influencers better than influencers.
Yeah.
Creators are a very
true.
tight-knit and communicative group, especially like within their niches and their verticals. So if you build a good relationship with one influencer, and especially if you offer referral bonuses, incentives, and things like that, just ask them like, hey, this is really great. Who else should I work with? They will tell you. For sure, they will tell you whether they are a bigger influencer or a more successful influencer in their space that they admire or is a mentor to them, or maybe some equal or smaller creators that they are trying to help bring along in their space. These creators definitely understand that all their boats rise with the tide in their verticals, and they're usually very helpful, and we'll share with you who's the best out there.
We're definitely have to put that into the blog post takeaways. Nobody knows how to find great influencers better than influencers. That is going to be a big one, I think. Carla, do you want to talk a little about Sovrns and what you do?
Sure. So we have a self-serve platform. We've got about 3,000 new creators and influencers that sign up organically monthly. I mean, we obviously engage in strategic partnerships that help that flow, but a lot of it's just organic. We recently just launched a new onboarding process, which really differentiates ourselves from other platforms, which allows the creators to launch and establish their affiliate businesses very early. They might have very small audiences and grow them. We've got a dedicated demand team that's there to help optimize, that's helped to introduce brands to these influencers, and then graduate them to mature businesses. So for example, if some of these creators end up working with the brands directly, we're still there to help them with their businesses. And that's because we've developed this new effectively immediate onboarding where creators can start earning immediately, it's really advantageous for them to start working with us because then we can just really help them grow. And so that's what we're doing effectively to find our creators and to help them mature.
I would say on the
Laurie, anything
platform
you want
side
to
at Everflow, we're working closely with partners like Carla to provide brands with access to big networks of creators. But then the beauty of Everflow is that they can upload their own individual creators into their own accounts and manage them directly. They don't have to join a marketplace. And we also work closely with Inflection, which has been a really game-changing tool in the influencer space in terms of providing, tools for brands to manage influencers and sort of a partner dashboard for creators to, effectively, grab the brand assets, create really snazzy landing pages, and, drive a lot of traffic to, select brands. So a couple different approaches for brands to be, working with creators.
Terrific. And we've had a couple of questions come in, and I promise we're going to get to both of those because they are going to fit in with some of the things that we're going to be talking about. So we've talked now, like, where do we find them? So how, in trying to decide which ones you're going to work with, what's more important? You've all talked about some metrics, KPIs for your brands, but then you've also kind of talked about this storytelling ability that, Carla had mentioned that influencers are so good. What's more important? Is it the metrics or is it the storytelling abilities?
I mean, I would say it's both. So, whenever, and this kind of like leads into like looking and trying to find the right affiliate or the right creator as well. But you really want to like understand their content and see how you authentically can be placed within that content. And if they're not good storytellers, that's going to be really hard for you to do. And if it doesn't blend in authentically, it's not going to convert. So I think storytelling and metrics like engagement and impressions, obviously, like if nobody sees it, that's not going to be successful. But at the same time, if it's a small creator who maybe they don't have as many views, but it's highly engaged and highly authentic and might convert bigger than somebody with a greater reach. And then, of course, it depends on your objective. Like if you're planning on using UGC, you're going to hold all that at the brand storytelling at a different level.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a lot already, but it's really important to start with outcomes, and then based on that, you can figure out, what type of storytelling and partners are going to fit into that. Are you looking for brand awareness? So that might be a sponsorship, collaborations. Are you looking for conversion and sales? So that's more of an affiliate performance style deal or UGC. Or are you looking for content generation? So kind of starting with those outcomes and obviously like brand fit and storytelling are important as authenticity and relevance really drives trust and finding those influencers, whether macro or micro, that are going to be able to drive those outcomes.
You all have mentioned UGC a few times, and I think for clarification, it's a little different in this space than what we used to think of it in affiliate. It used to be, adding coupons to a coupon site, consumers that were adding that information on, those publisher sites and being able to monetize that. What are we talking about when we talk about UGC in the influencer and creator space specifically?
So I have a take on that that might differ from others, but UGC used to be like genuine user generated content, like actual customers sending you in content, right? Just like adding you or tagging you in their socials. I think what it is now, and this is akin to creator-led content, but UGC to me has become creative and content that is created by real people, but for the sake of deploying as UGC, meaning it's just footage of folks unboxing, using product, experience the product, and then they give the brand the assets, and you're just working with assets at that point. So to put it in perspective, it's a great way to fix your costs and get a lot of velocity on content. And a lot of times, what I've done in the past is, to cut costs. You're wasting your money and your time if you're paying a big creator their usual CPM fee if you're just using the ad assets on your platform, because you're not utilizing their followers, right? And that's the value you're paying for. So if you find UGC creators, usually it's like $500, $1,000. You can find them on Fiverr and things like that. That specifically what they do is create amazing content and then just hand it over. And they don't have any followers or they're not posting anything like that. And one hack that I found that puts it in perspective is that, especially out west, sometimes out in New York City, a lot of talented folks that haven't quite made it in the acting business yet. And you can call up a talent rep and say, hey, I need someone that knows how to be in front of the camera and can unbox and utilize this product and tell me what is great about it, and then just hand me the files. So I just wanted to use that hack as a perspective of what I believe UGC is today. And there's really great companies out there. Mini Social is one plug, but you just kind of pay a fee and you just get this influx of creative at volume, specifically creator-led volume, creative.
And I love UGC based on Preston's definition, which is we're using it for paid media. So that, I think all the stats have shown that has higher engagement for the paid media as well. But I also like to, maybe take a little from the paid media budget. So if I know we're going to be talking about the hybrid model, but it might be that the paid media budget pays for the UGC part, but then I've also got an affiliate at the same time who's promoting to their audience, which I think helps the paid media because they're posting within their stories and within their feed or their additional platforms. So it makes the paid media initiative more authentic as well.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification just because it has changed a little in our industry and it is a little bit different than the way we used to talk about it. So you've identified influencers and creators now. Most of them are used to working on flat fee basis or traditionally kind of as more endorsement influencer. Now is moving more to creator, which is just a little bit different. So what is the best way to approach them when you're coming at it from wanting to work with them through this performance and hybrid? How do you even approach them at this point? Stephanie, you do a lot of that.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. And I work with a lot of managers that do that. And I think the one thing, if anyone that's worked with me is going to be like, oh my gosh, she says this all the time, is to, when you first approach an influencer, don't try to close the deal in the first level of communication, whether it's DM or, at a conference or via an email. You're really starting the conversation. And then, because it's a long-term relationship is the goal. So it should be a two-way conversation about how this fits in. Understand the influencer's content so that it's going to save both of you a lot of time of how it will your brand will authentically be represented in that content. So you can have a very personalized, customized communication of hey, this is why I'm reaching out to you. Because the one thing I've seen online, the biggest complaint about is the stock emails going out to hundreds of influencers and they're like, this isn't even relevant to me. And so you don't want that.
Appreciate good thoughts. Any others? Right. So now you've identified them. The next thing down the path is how are you determining how you're going to pay them? Obviously, we have kind of the flat fee payment arrangements. We have the performance only side of commissions. And as Stephanie mentioned, we have this hybrid model. And then we also have performance bonuses that might go on top of all of these things. So how do you decide how are you going to work with them? And one of the questions that we actually had come in from Jake that kind of goes along with that is how are you handling conversations where we might not be able to offer large upfront funds, but want to emphasize the importance and our opportunity for performance-based structure. So let's just kind of take all that together and say, performance, hybrid, flat fee. How are you talking to them? How do you decide how you're even going to do all of this? This is kind of a complicated part, I think.
Yeah, loaded on that one. Loaded question, but there's a lot to. First and foremost, I think you have to decide what is right for your business and knowing your number and knowing your costs and just knowing what budget you have and what phase of business you're at, right? So for example, a growth startup, maybe in the CPG space, obviously you have fixed COGS and things like that, and you have to work these cost measures into your accounting. And typically in that space, everything is all about conversion strategies. It's about purchase conversion. strategy, so bottom of the funnel. And typically what you'll see there, you know, you can go right to affiliate or a hybrid rev share with creators along with a flat fee. But again, you can't waste the dollar. So, you know, if you can find creators that are interested in having skin in the game with you and are out to make sales and sharing that revenue with you, that's, you know, typically what aligns with, you know, like a startup growth brand. And influencers tend to kind of compartmentalize themselves with that, right? Like an affiliate creator, you know, they'll take a flat fee, but generally they're very interested in getting an affiliate code and driving sales and, you know, kind of eating what they kill, so to speak. Whereas like a traditional flat fee kind of NIL creator, usually sometimes not interested in that affiliate or, you know, kind of working for a rev share. They're more about the flat fee and they are selling their following, again, their name, image likeness, and really guaranteeing a CPM at the top level. So if you're a larger brand and you have the budget to kind of saturate the whole funnel and go for awareness and engagement, then yeah, you know, look for those flat fee creators that can create awareness for your brand and then bring them down the funnel and maybe have someone that, you know, has that skin in the game to close the deal at the bottom of the funnel. But again, you know, know your numbers, especially for the growth brands. Cash positive profit is key. Cash flow is key, and just know that, you know, all of these marketing strategies you have to build into your costs and know what you're paying out to these creators, and you know, you have a good idea that you're going to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also remember that we're influencers as we're reaching out, right? Telling our brand story and about how we fit within the content can help in negotiations, because I do find, like, I've been surprised at getting some really large influencers because they are customers or they're just passionate about my brand's mission that I'm promoting. So like kind of going back to how we start the conversation of really helping them understand and that we were thoughtful in reaching out helps. As far as like bonuses, like one thing that I always do is like when I'm negotiating and if I'm kind of getting pushback, I'll share examples of like not like an actual creator, but I'll say, hey, I work with a creator with like in your niche with the same amount of subscribers and, you know, the same amount of engagement. And here's a case study of how much they made within 3 months. And then depending on what my goals are and the size of the influencers, I might set bonuses based on, you know, reaching certain milestones. So then it's like, okay, this is how we're going to work it backwards. Like you presented this flat fee. I'm going to, you know, show you how much you make per commission. And if you reach these milestones, how much you make. And then, hey, bonus, if you keep promoting it, you know, you're going to get unlimited amount of commissions because we're not going to cut it off.
Laurie, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say that I think Preston kind of nailed a lot of the key points that I was going to say, but I agree that a lot of brands, especially some of the bigger brands, are kind of taking a 360 approach. So they'll, you know, leverage, you know, macro influencers to kind of drive the awareness for the brand. And pay a flat fee for that kind of a play. You know, they'll also kind of leverage sort of a hybrid model, maybe sending out product and paying out some commissions, and then also doing, you know, things at the bottom of the funnel, doing commission only, and some paid amplification for creator content as well. So I think that you know, there's not a one size fits all, but definitely brands are kind of looking into all those different models and making sure that they, you know, take a full funnel approach to it.
We had Troy ask some questions that I think all kind of fit in with what we're talking about here. So I'll kind of throw them out. I think some of them you touched on and some you might want to elaborate a little bit more, but you can kind of see through these questions a little bit of frustration coming from the performance side of things, trying to understand this influencer side of things and like, how do we come together on this? How do you hold the creators accountable? How do you navigate the aggressive costs? That some of them are asking for without really being able to have any background data that show the results that they can give you for maybe these flat fees or these campaigns. Is it acceptable to ask them to drive some traffic or sales before you send them free products to review? And when did commissions become not enough for a creator to do their job? So I
Oh,
think this kind of, I think this is, what a lot of people like us coming from the performance side, we are feeling a lot of this. We're used to just paying on performance basis. Like you do the review, you make commissions off of it. Now the brands are being told, like, you got to kind of grease the wheels first before, they're going to give you. So yeah, I think the frustrations I think that he's feeling are probably very common on this side of the industry. How do you
mhm.
address some of those?
I mean, I think sometimes you can't move forward with a partnership, unfortunately, because it doesn't necessarily work within your budget, and that's just kind of the sad story with that. Um, I think as far as like, can you ask them to promote before you send product? I think that's a really hard sell. If it's a super high priced item, you might be able to do like a sneak peek. If for me, if I don't have data on the creator and the creator can't give me data, that's a red flag for me. Or if there's like no case studies, particularly, as I keep mentioning, like as an affiliate manager, I'm not an influencer manager, I'm an affiliate manager. So in the end, like impressions are a beautiful thing that we share with our clients, but they're going to measure me based on the revenue. So I have to know, like, yes, I see your engagement rate, but if it's just on pictures of your cute kids, that's probably not going to sell my product. So I want a creator who is a professional and who knows how to give me that data. And then the last thing I would say is, like, if you have a tight budget, have reasonable expectations of like the size of the creator that you're going to work with. So usually like a smaller creator is more willing to, work on a performance basis.
Good point.
Yeah, I'd seen the brands that have done it really well is that they've just had really clear agreements and deliverables. So they're outlining kind of all the different steps. What are the deadlines, number of posts, um, you know, disclosure requirements, approval processes, all of those, the content guidelines, what are the KPIs, and then just making sure that their tracking and measurement is set up properly. So they have, unique affiliate links, tracking pixels, promo codes, all that type of stuff. And then just providing them with a dashboard to, track performance, ideally in real time, and then just making sure that you're having regular check-ins with your partners to, check on progress, make sure you're providing feedback. And then I've also seen some interesting things. Like I know that Inflection does send out free product, but if they don't post, I think they do get charged for it, or there are some implications that they need to deliver on what they've promised, which I think can be effective as well.
Anything else before we move on to the everyone's favorite topic, AI? So we were going to talk about it anyway and kind of talk about some new creative ways for creators to optimize for the LLMs. And we actually had a good question come in from Kyle that goes along with that. How do you see brands and influencers needing to adjust content or strategy in order to be picked up by recent developments in AI-driven discovery? So any thoughts, Carla, on all of that?
Well, we don't know everything and we won't, and it will continue to change. But what we do know is that the creator's content needs to be optimized for the questions that people ask in an LLM. And the more that it can be relevant to specific demographics and everything else, the more likely it will be picked up. So for example, if a query is what's the best image generator, that's a very common query, build content to answer this question. And as it gets indexed in Bing or wherever else, LLMs will pick this up. And when someone asks this question and say Chat GPT, it will refer to the creator who answered that. So there are companies that are popping up to help creators with understanding these queries. However, it's still a very new industry and there's really no clear winners nor clear way to do this. So the best thing is be creative as a creator and try to create content and anticipate the questions that people will be typing into an LLM.
I like that. Steph?
And Yeah, and I want to add too is that I think as affiliate managers, we really need to understand the changing world of the algorithms, or where the LLMs are getting their information as far as like from a platform perspective. Brand mentions help, LLMs, but as Carla mentioned, it is an answer machine. So we want to make sure not only are we answering the question, but we're answering the question in a place where they're looking. So like right side up, we focus on YouTube because we know they scrape the transcripts, but also like new is like Reddit and Quora, right? And so like when I'm working with a creator, whether it's like a hybrid campaign, performance only, or flat fee, I'm like, I have to ask if they're on those platforms because it's like all anonymous. Like, my username for some reason is automatically Moose. I don't know why. I find it somewhat offensive, but that's okay. But anyway, you don't know who they are necessarily on Reddit, but you can always ask because a strong creator knows that's going to help drive revenue to their other platforms. So, really understanding where the platforms are and like how to get creators to create answers on those platforms.
Yeah, and Carla, you mentioned like we don't even know, and everything's changed as much right now. The stuff you mentioned in YouTube is interesting because I have started using Gemini more because it came free with my Pixel, and so I'm using like the free year of it that I get just to kind of try it out. And I've noticed they now put one YouTube video at the end of every question that I ask. So somehow they're choosing one YouTube video. So if I say, what is the best pair of hiking shoes to take to Ireland, it will give me a big response, and then one video shows up, and whoever that one video is lucky, 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 because they're the one that's probably going to get seen a whole lot. And how do you get to be that one video? Who knows? But if I'm the brand, I want that one video to be talking about my pair of hiking boots as the very best pair. So that is pretty interesting.
Of course, Gemini owns YouTube, it's owned by Google. So of course they're like keeping it within their paywall in like more ways than one. So of course they're going to throw up the YouTube video. And what I love about that example in my experience has been is that they don't need to be like these huge, subscriber lists. They can be small. You help them optimize. You provide them with like, here's our common questions and here's why you want to authentically include that in your communication. And then it's going to get picked up. I mean, well, know is a strong word, but it increases the probability that it's going to get picked up by the LLMs.
Right. Yeah, we had one picked up recently that was a short even. I wasn't sure if shorts would show up in there because I thought maybe they were looking for the main videos, but it was just a like 2-minute short that my business partner did. And it was the video that showed up specifically asking about a brand's product. And that was an exciting day to run into that.
And if you have YouTube shopping, you can include the links within the video so they don't even have to click out and be in the description. Everything can happen within the ChatGPT. And we have the click, and for shorts, they've added the stickers. So it's a happy place.
Anything else on the LLM AI side of all of this, which of course, very new. And oh yeah, the PMA is doing a little survey right now. If you want to go to our website to ask about AI, and one of the questions talks about LLM citations. So kind of in the same vein of like influence and how we're paying for that kind of thing. We've got a good question in there about that. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so we found them, we want to work with them, we've proposed some money, some kind of agreement with them. So now what kind of training or resources are you providing, whether it's from your platform, whether it's from the network, whether it's you as the brand manager? What kind of resources are you providing to these influencers?
I think like the resources really starts, and I believe like Preston, Laurie, and Carla all touched on this with like setting expectations, whether it's like a hybrid model where you can actually have a contract and you're super clear about like, this is going to be a video integration and it needs to be placed in the first half, or this is a reels and it's going to be a series and we want them all to link. So I think it's really huge for both sides to really set those expectations. Having a detailed creative brief with like examples of successful, whether it's your brand successful through paid media or other creators, like showing them examples, talking points that convert, right? So like nobody knows the product better than you. So you as the brand know which talking points gets people to move depending on where they are in the funnel is huge. And then of course our favorite, compliance. Tricia, got to mention that with your lawyer background, but like FDA compliance, FTC compliance, and then of course brand regulation compliance as well. Making it digestible. I always try to think of that as like a cheat sheet. any type of training, if it's like B2B and it's more complicated, make sure you're giving them time to review the product. If it's not something that's like an impulse buy, and then talking to them along the way, making sure that you are answering all their questions before they create the content. So they're not asking the questions to their audience. Like, I don't know why it's this way. So really, like, the more information you can provide, lifestyle images, sources that they can quote, if it's something that, you know, has a little bit more of like maybe a scientific background or a medical background, like reliable sources that can give credibility and also help with your LLMs, because expertise is another part of the LLM algorithm. So those are some of the examples that we like to provide.
I really appreciate getting information on any kind of other media or anything that the brands are doing. So they know that they're going to be featured on this or that, or they just had something come out about them, so that it gives me a good reason to say, oh, this was just mentioned on Good Morning America, if you didn't happen to catch it, like this. So knowing like what other media and, you know, paid media that they're getting is helpful to be able to know, because then I can kind of piggyback off of that. I can go and look for that, or I can kind of say like, oh, you might have seen this. And then all of a sudden I'm now their second mention. They did see it somewhere else and they forgot about it. I'm now the second person that's mentioned this thing for them. So, we are going to have a couple of minutes, looks like, for a few other questions from the audience. So you all can keep bringing those in. A couple more I haven't gotten to, but I think we're going to have time to get to a couple more after we get kind of through all of our stuff. But I'm going to ask, like, we've obviously all made a lot of mistakes in our marketing and the time that we've done all of this in this industry. So what would you say is one mistake that you've made, or maybe saw somebody else that you work with that has made in working with influencers kind of specifically, that you're trying to avoid in the future?
I'll take-
Oh, go ahead.
Carla's like ready. She's raising her hand. She's like, I got mistakes. I got mistakes.
It's all about ease of onboarding. And I think initially Sovrn didn't have the best onboarding process for creators who might not know the space very well. And so we didn't have a great way to allow creators to immediately start earning. We've now changed that, and we now have a process to allow them to immediately get instant approval and start earning. And then, as I mentioned earlier, graduate them, promote them, get them more exposure to different brands as they grow their businesses. What we really have is Sovrn has both a commerce affiliate business and a programmatic exchange business. We've taken a lot of our best practices from our programmatic side of the business, and we're starting to apply those to our affiliate commerce business.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback on what Carla said. I think that, you know, when I've seen brands kind of onboarding and, you know, creators on Everflow, you know, some of them that have relied heavily in the past on, you know, performance partners, you know, they're not offering as much support to the influencers as they're onboarding. So, you know, providing all those things that Stephanie said, like creative briefs, upfront fee, you know, what the upfront fees and bonus structures look like, you know, makes them feel like a true partner and make it easy for them to kind of onboard to your program, and also be really clear about expectations, KPIs, and giving them everything that they need to be successful, as well as, you know, providing transparency and making sure that they can log into a dashboard or get reports and see, you know, how they're performing, you know, in relative to the outcomes that are expected. So I think all of those things are really important as you work with creators.
Preston?
Yeah, so I've been on like many sides of this creator and influencer and social media ecosystem. I think the biggest mistakes I see made around relationships, or not cultivating good relationships with creators and influencers. And to me, from what I've seen, it's like what wins in the end is, you know, like a few or a smaller number of really great brand creator relationships, and not so much like by volume and velocity and just like straight transactional. We're all people at the end of the day. So first of all, I think you should prescribe as little as possible, especially when you're working for with a flat fee creator, and utilizing their following. They know how to sell to their audience, and they know what resonates. Right now, in paid, if you're gonna be using their assets or whitelisting with paid, different story, right? We might have to reorder some clips, get more, shorten the video, shorten the content, or get more into the first few seconds, things like that. But don't change who they are when you do that, right? And that's different because you're going out to a net new audience. But again, prescribe as little as possible, no scripts, and it will come off more authentic. That's another overused word, but it is key, right? And if you hand someone a script, they're just not going to get behind it anyway. Second is transparency. Share as much info and data as you can with these creators. Again, especially with affiliate creators, which is probably where I lean the most right now. They are like business partners, so share as much info as you can. They have almost equal skin in the game as you do. So treat them as such and share as much as you can. Let them know how they're performing, what you need from them, or where they can step up. The other thing is setting and forgetting. Again, especially with affiliate programs, you can't just like sign up affiliates and set it and forget it and hope for the best and hope they go out there and pound the pavement with your product. Continuously communicate, let them know what's really great about your product, what problems it solves, why it's so swell for their followers, and also get them excited about new things that are coming up that they might have like exclusive access to or something like that. So again, cultivating relationships with creators, having that business relationship with them and just like bringing them along for your journey, and you'll be part of their growth journey as well.
So we had a question come in that I have a feeling I might have a different perspective as an attorney than what you all have, but I will ask all of you first. Regarding contracts going from the brand to the creator, do these need to be created by a legal team, or can these contracts be created by the affiliate manager or the brand itself in order to hold the creator accountable for deliverables? What say the rest of you?
I say both. Because the contract is setting expectations, and I think the affiliate manager knows kind of what those expectations are based on the business goals, but then it's always got to go through legal. So that's my 2 cents.
I don't know, for some of you, so with your platforms, do you already have this somewhat built in to them? So you might not necessarily always have to take this to your legal team if it's something that's already built into the platform to just kind of what they've signed on to begin with, and then you're setting commission rates, you're setting the deliverables within there.
Yeah, I know on Everflow, the brand can set their terms and conditions for the partner, and then they can sign up via the platform, and also do that for commission rates, custom commission rates, all those types of arrangements can be made directly through the platform, which can provide considerable ease in terms of working with and contracting with creators.
Yeah, same with later Mavely. There's obviously like standard T's and C's that go with go on both sides of using these platforms for the brands as well as the creators. And then like an affiliate and compensation can be adjusted. The deliverables the brand is asked for, all that can be adjusted, right? When I've worked directly with creators in the past, it's usually has come from the brand side or the one initiating the partnership that the contract would come from. And hopefully the creator has their own legal, partners or capabilities to be able to review that. And, you should welcome red lines and going back and forth. And it might take a couple turns to get something established, but, you should definitely welcome that. And again, build that confidence in that relationship with the creator, even from a legal standpoint.
I think it's worth it for a template that you create, like for your brand or for your agency. If you even just, have the attorney go over it one time for you to make sure that you're not missing provisions like a choice of law provision or things like that. If something ever would come down to some kind of suit, maybe some kind of indemnification if they're not doing FTC disclosures or something like that. If you have the attorney just build you that initial first one as a template, then going forward, every time you're going in, just making small changes, in terms of the timeframes, the commissions, like whether they get the free product or not, how many times they're supposed to post, like all of those things. You don't need to have an attorney go back over those things all the time. But if you just have them go over that initial contract, especially if this is more customized, if it's just a case of performance based, we're we're going to be working with you. You get this commission, you get this much up front, go through the network and just, they've done the TNC and all of that kind of stuff and it's fine. But if this is a really kind of deeper thing where you're working one-on-one either outside of a network or platform, or you've got a lot of very specific things that they're doing for you and that you're directing them to do, in that case, then I think it's worth having the attorney just initially set up that first one for you, and then that'll be your template going forward. Job security for us attorneys. That's what I'm talking about. You kind of touched on this, but how do you balance the needs of the brand with allowing these influencers and creators to have creative freedom? I mean, they're used to just posting whatever they want all the time about whatever they want. Now they're representing your brand. So how do you balance those things?
I think it really is about the resources that we provide in advance, where you kind of have the do's and don'ts of the legalese, and then you might have recommendations based on your experience. But as Preston mentioned, like, you want to make sure they know their audience best, they know what resonates. You don't want it to be scripted, but at the same time, you don't want it to be, you're in legal trouble because of something an influencer said.
Yeah, the don'ts are important, right? Because you could also be like in a regulated industry or something like that, and you just can't either the info is out there and you're liable, or it's something that they deliver back and you just can't use it because they said certain things or position your product in the right way. But yeah, I would just say as little prescription as possible, and let the creator do their thing, and you will get that authenticity and that value out of what you get back.
All right, well, as we're drawing to a close here, and I know people are starting to jump off so that they make the next meetings, I wanted really quickly, all of you go over really fast where the best way for people to get in touch with you would be. So, Stephanie.
Probably like LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
And then email stephanie.robbins@rightsideup.co.
Right. Preston.
Yeah, same LinkedIn, Preston Oliver, / Preston Oliver. I'm on LinkedIn, so check me out, and hopefully my contact info is right there. But if not, Preston@joinmavely.com or Preston.Oliver@later.com.
Carla.
Yes, LinkedIn, and my Sovrn email is ccell@sovrn.com. SOVRN.
Laurie.
I'm going to round it out with another LinkedIn. You can and you can also reach me at Laurie at everflow.io, and that's LAURIE, which is the right way to spell it.
And I'm also most available on LinkedIn, also Tricia at thepma.org if you have any questions about the PMA. Thank you all so much for presenting today. Thanks for everybody who came, and thank you so much to Sovrn for making this happen. If you have questions about the PMA or want to learn more about what we do or how you can make sure that you don't miss any of our future webinars, check us out at thepma.org. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.